G'day beautiful people, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the current card system, 2 issues that I have with the card system, and a potential way to change the card system that I came up with. Might not be very popular, but we're going to talk about it anyway. If you go and enjoy this video, make sure you smash that like button. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think, whether it's because you totally agree, kind of agree, or completely disagree. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic. So to start off with, the 2 issues that I have with the current card system, one of which will hopefully be fixed in the new year, or at the very least it'll be band-aid fixed, is that there is a lack of variety for endgame and mid-game cards. And the second problem that I have is there's cards that shouldn't have certain stats on them. With the current card system, the current amount of cards that we have, you end up with only about 4-ish, a couple of more viable carry builds. OPD is dumb. You have only a few good fighter builds, fighters being junglers or offlaners. They generally tend to be the same sort of tanky, damage dealing malarkey, and really only one good caster build. Why is that? Well, for some of these roles it's because the main mentality is more power, but mainly for casters anyway, more power, more power, more power. But mostly because there aren't enough good cards to give us variety. This should change in the new year, as I said, because Epic has announced they're going to release more cards and gems. However, we may have the same issue with these new cards. We may just revert back to the old ones, or there may be, say there's 100 more cards added, there may end up being, 10 go-to cards. So we go from having, 4-ish viable builds for a carry, going to maybe 6. Now that may seem like a lot, but really it's not. It is a lot more than what we had in the old card system pre-version 42, because you're not just building stats. For a carry, you pretty much had the situation where you just built a certain way. You built the amount of crit you wanted, you built your crit bonus, and you built some attack speed and power, and it just came down to math as to variations in the build. But what was really wrong with that? Nothing, in my opinion. I kind of miss it, but this is what we have right now. So I'm hoping that we get a load more cards, and they're all viable. I'm also hoping there's a lot more variation for early game and mid game, because there really isn't anything that you could class as mid game. I mean, you have sort of 7 and 8 point cards, but take Heavy Hitter for example. That's an 8-point card in Chaos. That's an end game card. It adds 15% to your basic attack damage. So why the hell would you just keep it on in mid game? Anyway, for problem number 2, cards that shouldn't have certain stats. And you may not understand what I mean by that, but we're going to talk about a few of them. The first one is Growth Totem. Growth Totem comes with power and health every minute. Alright, you put this on every minute, you gain power and health. I personally don't think it should grant power. I think it's dumb. It should just grant health. It should be a tanking card, being that it's in growth, and that's a thing we'll talk about with my card system rework suggestion. Then we have Possessed Spriten. Possessed Spriten should not have power on it. It may very well be a negligible amount of power, but it still shouldn't have power. Flame of Zekken shouldn't come with attack speed. One of the Tribe should not come with health. It is a card that revolves around getting bonus damage when you're around your team. So, and I think it comes with 20 something power on it. You can get 60 extra power by being within your whole team. So that's about 80 odd damage rating to your basic attack, or to anything else, mind you. And it also comes with a buttload of health, like probably among the largest amounts of health in the game, which just doesn't make sense, because you're pretty much advertising that, yes, a lot of carries use it, it's very, very good on carries, but you're advertising it towards tanks. It's like, here, get tankier, do shit tons of damage. That's just dumb, in my opinion. Unbroken Spirit should not have power. It's a tanking card. It's a card that revolves around tanking damage, so you shouldn't be getting power from it. If a tank just builds Growth Totem, one of the tribe, and Unbroken Spirit, they're giving themselves a boatload of health across all three of those cards, some ability armor, and shit tons of power. It's just stupid. Also, you know, just to throw another one out there, like Vampiric Blade. Vampiric Blade doesn't need stats on it. For the cost that it comes at, getting 10 passive health, lifesteal, and the ability to have another 150% lifesteal on the cooldown that it's at, I don't really think you need to give people health, attack speed, and power. It should be a choice that you're making to go for that lifesteal. So I don't really think that it needs that power. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with some of those examples, but that is my opinion. I really think stats need to be reworked on cards. There's a lot of cards that just have stats on it where you just think, why does it have that on it? Like a utility card that offers power. If it's a utility card, something that's, you know, there to remove movement speed from people or lower their attack speed, then it shouldn't be granting people power as well. I've heard a couple of suggestions that maybe they should just go along the lines of, you know, 2 or 3 stat cards that just give you stats, and then a extra slot for a utility card. Say, you know, 1 card like Unbroken Spirit, and then 3 stat cards. So you could take a health card, a basic armor card, an ability armor card, and then Unbroken Spirit, which has no stats on it, just the passive from Unbroken Spirit. But anyway, on to my suggestion for a rework. Now, I've heard a few people bringing out videos lately about card system reworks, a couple that have just been ridiculous. If I even understood them, then they're just dumb. This is very simple, but I understand that a lot of people are not going to like it. We keep all the gems and we keep cards, okay? They're not really going to change very much. You may need to shuffle some gems around a little bit. You are definitely going to have to shuffle some cards around. So the way that it generally works is that we go back to having fixed affinities, okay? And I know there's a collective sigh going out there, oh no, I like to be able to choose. But this would solve a lot of issues. What you do is you have fighters, i.e. junglers and offlaners, Kwong, Grux, Rampage, all those guys, right? They're all stuck with growth. Growth is an affinity that revolves around getting extra health, clearing jungle, tanking damage, carries. All the carries go to chaos. It's all cards revolving around basic damage. Assassins go to death. It's all things that would help assassins. Casters are all in knowledge. It's all to do with ability damage. Supports are all in order. It's all about getting extra mana regen, health, and utility items for your team. Now, the thing that would be good about this system is obviously you need to reshuffle around cards. Okay, so let's say, for example, you took the health off of one of the tribe and it was just a power card. You put that into chaos because it's based around dealing a lot more damage, which revolves around carries. So put that into chaos. You know, you would have situations where, you know, your mid laner, your support are not going, or your offlaners, unless they're an assassin, are not going to be running Possessed Spriken because they can't. No more Severok with Possessed Spriken, no more Kwong with Possessed Spriken, no more Zinx with Possessed Spriken. You know, you're going to alleviate a lot of problems. You're also reshuffling all the cards so that they suit that playstyle, they suit that role. You're not going to have issues where you have a Gideon on your team that is building Heavy Hitter and Shadow Golem because he's locked into knowledge, and knowledge only offers things that would help a caster. You're not going to have... Now, there would be situations where, you know, you want to just muck about and you're not going to be able to play like Crit Decker or anything anymore, but I really think it would solve the problem. The junglers would be tanky. The carries would dish out a lot of damage, so would the assassins, and they would have some really cool cards in there to help them do their thing. Casters would do no basic damage, or little basic damage like they're supposed to, and they would have very hard-hitting abilities, and supports would have all of these stuff in their kit to help out their team. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that would probably need to be shuffled around, as I said. There's some growth cards that could go into order to help supports. There's some growth cards that could go into chaos. There's some chaos cards that could go into death. A lot of things would need to be shuffled around, but I really think that locking affinities per role would help not only broaden the variety, because if you had just one affinity to choose from for carries and it was all revolving around basic damage, there was, say, 10 to 20 8 to 13 point cards, the build variety would be huge compared to what it is right now. And the biggest thing that you'll get from this card system would be that you would not have Muppets that don't understand how to build building shitty decks. You would not need to have an introduction to deck building, because they would understand. If they play Gideon's a caster, teach him that he's a caster, let him build his own deck for Gideon, and just give him cards to choose from that help a caster. He's going to quickly pick up that that's the way he's supposed to build for a caster, and it's not going to matter if he doesn't anyway, because he's not going to be able to screw up his build. But that is just something that I messed with a little while ago, and I just thought someone might like to hear it. So I'd love to hear your opinions on the current card system, what I said about certain stats coming off of cards, whether you are hopeful for the new cards coming out in the new year, or whether you think it's just a band-aid solution, and what you thought of my card system rework suggestion. I hope you understood what I meant by that. I'm pretty sure it's kind of simple way of it's pretty simple to understand. Carries chaos, assassin's death, caster's knowledge, supports order. Order is filled with utility cards, knowledge is filled with ability damage cards, chaos is filled with basic damage cards, the growth is filled with health and armor cards, things like that. You can still have passives and actives and stuff in there the whole way along, but in general, the majority of power is in chaos and death. Also knowledge as well. Obviously you want to add some power there, but you're not going to have order cards that have power and attack speed on them, things like that. So that's it, guys. Hope you liked the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave me a comment. As I said, let me know what you think about everything that I said. Subscribe if you're not already. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.